Hello, everyone. My name is Dharizza, as you just heard. And yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about Evolving Layout Builder. So for the context, a lot of it is what Alex just said, so he still half the presentation, but that's great. No, and the next part of it is actually that still talking about innovation, before of the 16th birthday of Evolving Web, there was a company-wide competition called EvolveUs, in which we challenge our team to ideate, research, prototype, and pitch innovative ideas, all with the goal of improving the processes at Evolving Web and how we work and how we do things. So at the end, well, this was all inspired on the Drupal Pittsburgh, that it was an event like that, held in DrupalCon Pittsburgh in June. So we came up with some ideas, all of the team filled up some forms, we came up with these ideas, and we created some teams, and we assigned one idea to each team. And then we worked together for 4 weeks on doing some more exploration about each of them, and at the end of it, we presented it to the whole company. So for my team, we worked on the thing that Alex just mentioned. And then the name of the idea was actually Visual Page Editing Experience for Drupal. What happens? Why is this a problem? Well, basically, when we're talking about page editing experience in Drupal, we're talking mostly about Layout Builder, which is the page editing experience by excellence right now in Drupal. Even though it came to change the way in which the content editors use Drupal, there's a lot of room for improvement. There is a lot of things that we can do better, and that's what we wanted to do. So by working with our clients and even as developers, we already had identified some of the issues that it has. So sometimes the drag and drop functionality is not like the best one. The sidebar, it moves the whole content and then it shows it again. It is a little bit confusing. The user has too many options at the same time. So the plan was to actually improve the process. So to do all of this, we started by doing a comparative analysis of different tools that included looking at Layout Builder, looking at Webflow, which I think one of my colleagues was doing the presentation about it in the next room. We also investigated a little bit about Wix and Gutenberg, and we tried to come up with this comparative table that says what are some things that all of these tools have that Layout Builder maybe is lacking and that people actually love. So that was one part of it. After that, we came up with this ideation process, which was a little bit of a brainstorming. We created a collaborative space in Miro, where all the team added some pain points that we have found, and then also, eventually, we brainstormed some of the solutions for each of those pain points. As we were a multidisciplinary team, we were able to see different ways in which we could improve Layout Builder, because we had designers, we had developers, we had people that used to work with Drupal all the time, and some people who didn't, some people who have never used Layout Builder, and some people who was very, very experienced. So we came up with a lot of pain points, and what we had to do was group all of it and basically vote for which were the points that we wanted to focus on. So some of the things that came in were, apart from what I mentioned a couple of slides ago, that there is no visual representations of blocks, so it is very difficult for the users to know just by the name what they are committing to, what they are adding to their pages. And that is a little bit of a difficult situation for them. Also, they cannot see what a block looks like until they have filled up the form. It is until that moment that they can see how it is actually going to be displayed. The placement of the save button, that was usually a problem, because you can see that the button is at the very end, at the top of the page. And actually, if you have a very long page and you're adding all of your content, and you're now down there, it is very difficult to just go scroll all the way to the top, click on save, and that's it. Most of the times, we tend to forget. So it's a little bit complicated. In general, there were too many options available, but there are some ways of fixing some of this. So for example, we saw opportunities to bring iconography into the presentation of the blogs. Also, the ability to display a preview instantly on the page, making the panel for saving or canceling a sticky thing in the page, and even allowing the limitation of blocks in general, and then also per section. Some of these things, again, can be done with some of the modules that already exist, but then we have another problem. Even though some of these already exist, like for example, using the module layout builder restrictions or layout builder browser, there's still some work that we need to do every time that we are creating a new project that will use layout builder. And then we spend some time using the same patches, configuring the same modules, and all of this. So there were some issues identified in terms of user experience, but also for developer experience. So what is our proposal? Basically, with this project, we have three main goals. First, improve the general user experience for content editors when working with layout builder. Then, improve the developer experience, providing a solution that contains a predefined set of configuration items and reduces the time needed to set up a friendly layout builder. And then, contribute the results of this work to the general Drupal community. So, how we plan to achieve that? As I mentioned, we have two main plans. One that is focused on developer experience, and the other one in user experience. So, for the developer experience, our idea is to create Drupal recipes that will have all basic configuration for layout builder using existing modules, and maybe even eventually we can provide some composed recipes that will provide translation capabilities or even the ability to have searchable items from layout builder. This is like, let's say, a smaller scope because we can create the recipes and start working with them in a short-term period. The other part, which is the UX, for this we even created some wireframes that I can show you at the end if I have enough time. But the idea with this one is maybe provide a module with general UX improvements for layout builder. Basically, we want to implement some of the wireframes that we have, and that will facilitate the process of creating content and adding components to the pages using this tool. So the idea is to contribute both of the things, and that's part of the next steps that we will have. Something that you will see in the community, hopefully out soon. So this is the contribution time. Before going further, our idea is to start doing some more research about what are other modules that might have come out during the process. Because even while we were working on this and we were thinking about the instant preview blocks, we noticed, actually like 2 days before the presentation, that a new module for that was released exactly in that moment. So it was quite fun. And our plan is to keep looking into all those things and see what are the things that we can actually introduce and into our recipe, for example. And then we have the Layout Builder Essentials and Layout Builder Plus. And as you can already infer, probably, one of them is the recipes, and the other one is the module. So, for example, for Layout Builder Essentials, the idea is to include modules and patches that we use regularly for having a friendlier layout builder. We want to provide basic configuration for Layout Builder Browser and Layout Builder Restrictions modules, which are great for limiting the content that we are going to present there. We also want to include the module in some basic configuration for it, and the module is the instant block previews that I mentioned before, and maybe eventually some extra composed recipes for translations. So eventually, in a roadmap, we will have also, hopefully, adding the custom modules that we are going to prepare, the one that we are calling Layout Builder Plus. And in this Layout Builder Plus, so we want to implement the things from the Figma prototype that we created, including some improvements like improvements to operation links, improvement to the actions bar, giving more contextual information to the user. For example, when they are through their user journey, sometimes they don't know in what step of the journey they are. So if we can add that kind of information, even in the same sidebar, that is great. We want to add some enhancements to blocks and components creation and to the sidebar behavior in general. This is a little bit Oh, I don't know if you can see it. It's coming? Okay. So, I will see. So, yes, this is the theme and prototype that we created. So the idea is, wait a minute.
You're going to tell us what to click on. We'll click on it.
Yeah, okay, great. So, here, what the first thing, oh, actually, I have it in the wrong one, but that's okay. Can you scroll down?
Sure.
Okay, great. So, no, up a little bit. There, great. So in this section, we cannot see it right now for the projector, but it needs to have some icons for each of the layouts. So normally in Layout Builder, you click on Add Section, and then it opens the sidebar, and you have to choose in there what's going to be the proportion, right? So the plan is to have that included here directly. So if you choose any of them, in this case, you want to choose the one for 2 columns, the second one, yeah. It will open the sidebar in this moment, and you will be able to decide actually how you're going to divide those 2 columns. We can click here on equal, yeah, and click on Add Section. Great. So that will open normally the 2 sections in here, and now we have the Add component in here. Though you can see that some of the improvements that we want to add are changes on the action icons. Normally in Layout Builder, we only have icons without labels. Then you have to forward and see it. That is not great for usability, so we are proposing to do that. Also, we're proposing to have the drag and drop icon in the top right corner. And you can see that the save and cancel panel is now sticky. If we click on Add Component, great. We open the sidebar with a list of the components, but this time it's a sidebar that includes iconography, which was one of the main pain points for our users. You can see all of them in here, beginning and group eventually, and that's what we have. If you scroll and we choose postcard, a little bit down. Yeah, there it is. We get our component, and then you can see the sidebar with all of the information. Now, what happens with this sidebar? I didn't mention it before, but you can see at the top of it, if we go to the top, we have a section that says you are adding, and then what exactly you are adding. So the plan is that will give information to the user about what is the current step in their journey. If we want to hide the sidebar, we can just click on Hide Settings. And we still have the block in there, but we can now see how it will look like, ideally. So if we click again on Add Component, we will be adding the component into our page. And we can see it there immediately. So if that will be a little bit of how we are envisioning the experience with Layout Builder, and that is what we want to release to the community. So yeah, that's the